Hey guys, YouTuber 100 here. Alright, and now as I am continuing with my reviews of Peter Jackson's Hobbit trilogy, now here I am with a review for The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. So, yeah, overall, this is, once again, this movie is pretty good overall. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot like The Unexpected Journey. It's really, like, not on par with the Lord of the Rings movies, but, I mean, as a Hobbit movie goes, it is a pretty good film. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is, like, a pretty good way to really, like, continue the story of The Hobbit from an unexpected journey. I mean, yeah, this really does, like, once again, it does, like, continue on with the story. Or, yeah, I'm not sure, like, if you did see my review of the animated Hobbit, but, yeah, in the Hobbit film, really, like, in the animated Hobbit, I haven't read the book, so I don't really know, like, how much this portion of the story is talked about, is focused on the book, but in the animated Hobbit film, this portion of the story really is, there's not really much from this part of the story in the animated Hobbit film. Like, in that film, like, this this portion of the story was really cut down. Like, there wasn't much in it, but yeah, it had like the stuff with like them being their encounter with like the giant spiders and stuff, and then they end up like coming to Lake Town stuff, and Bilbo eventually does encounter a Smug and and yeah, so yeah, there were like a few things from this part of the story that were included in the animated film. Yeah, like I said, I haven't actually read the book, so I don't know like how much is actually in the book from this part of the story. But yeah, there's like a lot more in this film than just what the animated film had. I mean, yeah, this just takes like this whole portion of the story and just like puts it out into like about a 2.5 hour film. So yeah, like I said, I don't know like how much of this piece of the story is in the book, but yeah, there's like a lot more in this film than just what the animated film had from this part of the story. So yeah, I'm not really sure if like they actually did like include like a lot of filler in this film to just like add in to like fill in the time that this movie has. But yeah, still, regardless if they do or not, they still do tell this part of the story pretty well overall. And so yeah, once again, like you do have like just about everybody is returning. Yeah, you do have Martin Freeman as Bilbo, Ian McKellen as Gandalf, and yeah, everyone else. Richard Armitage, um, yeah, Stephen Fry, Ken Stock, Graham Tavish. So yeah, basically like everybody from the An Unexpected Journey does return in this film. And in this film, we also do have Orlando Bloom reprising the role of Legolas. Yeah, Legolas is in this film, and yeah, yeah, we do have a Benedict Cumberbatch voicing Smaug in this film, and yeah, in this film we don't really see like that much of Smaug. Smaug doesn't like actually really come into this film until probably like the last 50 minutes or so of the film. But yeah, when they do have him, Smaug is like really great, and yeah, it just this is like just once again a pretty good film overall. It's hard for me to really say which one is really better between this and An Unexpected Journey because I think both are just about like equally as good. So it's kind of really hard for me to say which one is really better. So I think I'm just not gonna really try to go into this and just like try to debate which one is better. But yeah, this is like probably like a pretty good follow up to An Unexpected Journey. So yeah, this is just once again a really good film overall. I give it once again 3.5 stars out of 4. Like I said, not as great as the any of the Lord of the Rings films, but yeah, for like telling the portion of the story that this film does, it is told like pretty well overall. So yeah, let me not waste any time and let me just get right into it. I'm probably just gonna like really skim through this the premise of this film as quick as I can, because really there's like a not like a whole much to talk about with this film. I'm probably just gonna like really just skim through the premise of this and just go through the this portion of the story just as quick as I can. And so, yeah, let me just start talking about it. So, yeah, this film actually does open up in a very similar fashion that, like, The Two Towers and Return of the King did, where it opens up by showing, like, a flashback, like, that really was, like, really before the events of An Unexpected Journey, where, like, there's this thing, there's the scene where, like, Gandalf is actually, like, speaking with Thorin, and he just is having a conversation with him about going on their journey and that they need to recruit a burglar, which of course was Bilbo. So yeah, it just kind of opened up with them just like deciding to go on the journey that they're on. So yeah, kind of like really similar to like the opening of Return of the King where it showed Gollum's origins and stuff. And yeah, even like in the start of the Two Towers, it did kind of show like I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not sure if it really was just a dream or if it really was just like something that happened really did happen that we saw more of when Gandalf fell. So yeah, but yeah, it did like open up in a very similar way that Two Towers and Return of the King did. And yeah, it also yeah, I forgot to mention in my review for An Unexpected Journey, these films actually do open up like really similar to the way the Lord of the Rings films did. Like they open up in the exact same style, where the first thing you see come onto the screen is like the Hobbit, just like how it was in Lord of the Rings, and then yeah, it then like shows an entire scene, and then it shows the rest of the title with like An Unexpected Journey, and then yeah, the Desolation of Smaug here. So yeah, and so yeah, it basically like picks up like right where An Unexpected Journey left off with Thorin and the group being pursued by Azog and the orcs, and then yeah, then Gandalf eventually ends up like leading them to the home of Bjorn, who was a skin changer that can actually like transform into a bear. And then yeah, that night Azog was then summoned to Dol Guldur by the necromancer, who like ended up like commanding him to marshal the forces for war. And then yeah, Azog then just ended up delegating the hunt for Thorin to like his son Bolg. Yeah. And then the next day, Yorn then just escorted the group to the borders of Mirkwood, where then Gandalf then like like found out that a black speech was imprinted on one of the ruins, and then after the promise that he made to Galadriel, he then just ended up warning the group to just stay on the path that they're on, and then he went to investigate the tombs of the Nazgul. And as the dwarfs were then like journeying through the forest, they ended up like getting lost, and then yeah, ended up being like ensnared by the giant spiders, and then yeah, Bilbo and like with the use of the ring, of course, like with him it being able to turn Bilbo invisible, he then ended up like freeing the group, and then but then he eventually ended up like dropping the ring, and then like after Bilbo like ended up like brutally killing a creature to retrieve the ring, he then like was like realizing that the ring really does have like a dark influence on him. So yeah, and then yeah, the rest of the Sparks were then like fended off by the wood elves that were led by Legolas and Toriel, and then yeah, the dwarfs also ended up being captured by the elves, and then they Thorin was brought before the king of the elves, Thranduil, and then yeah, because of like how Thorin really was like feeling about the elves before, or like he just ended up confronting Thranduil about the neglect of the dwarfs of Erebor after like those attacks by a Smaug 60 years before. And then yeah, as a result of that, like Thorin ended up like being in prison with all the other dwarfs, and then Bilbo like was able to avoid the capture, and he ended up then like arranging the escape using empty wine barrels that were sent downstream and stuff. And then as they were still being like pursued by some more wood elves, they eventually ended up being ambushed by Bolg and the orcs again, and yeah, Keely ended up like being wounded with a mortal shaft, and then yeah, then like it engaged the groups into a three-way battle down the river, but the dwarves were able to mm, escape both of the pursuers, and then yeah, Thranduil and like just ended up like sealing off his kingdom. After an orc captive ended up like revealing there was an evil entity returning, and is amassing an army in the south, and then Toril then just ended up deciding to assist the dwarfs, and Legolas ended up going after and then eventually Gandalf and Radagast went to investigate the tombs of Nazgul, and then it just showed that the tombs really just ended up like really being empty. And then the group ended up eventually being smuggled into Esgaroth by a bard, a bargeman, and then like it showed them they were found like raiding the town armory for the new weapons, and then Thorin then just ended up promising like the people of Lake Town a share of the mountain's treasure, and yeah, Bard ended up like revealing. Well, it was revealed that Bard was a descendant of the last ruler of Dale, and he actually does like possess the last black arrow that was capable of killing Smaug. And then, yeah, as like the group then just continued on, Keely was just like he had to stay behind, and Feely, Owen, and Bolfer were tending Keely. Healy, and then yeah, the rest of the group then just continued on with the quest. And as then Gandalf then like arrived at the ruins of Dol Guldur, or Radagast then ended up just leaving to warn Galadriel of their discovery at the tombs of the Nazgul, and then Gandalf ended up like finding that the ruins ended up like being infested with orcs, and then Azog ended up ambushing Gandalf, and then yeah, Gandalf ended up being overpowered by the necromancer, and then the necromancer was revealed as Sauron. Yep, and then yeah, Thorin and the rest of the group ended up reaching the Lonely Mountain, and Bilbo ended up finding the hidden entrance, and then yeah, Bilbo then ended up like being sent in to retrieve the Arkenstone, and then like as he was attempting to do it, then like he ended up like inadvertently waking Smaug, and yeah, of course like Bilbo had his ring on during this time, and yeah, Smaug then was like just trying to find Bilbo, and then it was eventually revealed by Smaug that he knew about Sauron's return, and Bilbo eventually ended up like taking the ring off and just revealing himself to Smaug. Yeah. And in Lake Town, a bard was trying to bring the Black Arrow to the launcher of the town, because and like he had a fear of what could happen when the dwarfs actually would enter the mountain, and but then like he ended up like being arrested, and just left his son to hide the arrow, and then Bolg and the rest of the orcs ended up like infiltrating the town, and then just the attacked Feely, Keely, Owen, and Bolfer, but they ended up like being dispatched by Toril and Legolas, and then Toril then just was tending to Keely as Legolas went in pursuit of Bolg, and then yeah, Gandalf then was just like watching as Azog and the orcs just marched toward the Lonely Mountain, and then yeah, it then just showed like inside of the mountain, Bilbo and the dwarfs then like had a chase with Smaug, but then yeah, they eventually ended up like rekindling the forge of the mountain, and then they like were using Smaug's flames to as a way to try to destroy Smaug by having his flames like make a golden statue of Thor, and then melting it down to try to bury Smaug alive in the molten gold. And yeah, Smaug ended up like being buried in the melted gold, but then he ended up then just emerging back up from the gold, and then just stormed out of the mountain, and then just flew off to Lake Town, and yeah, Smaug just said that he was just a death, and then he just ended up like flying off to Lake Town, and it just showed like a Bilbo just watching Smaug Smaug fly off, and he was just in horror. And then yeah, it just ended with Bilbo just saying, "What have we done?" and and yeah, that's how it ended. So yeah, it's in this film. It's not like at the very end of it, like Smaug is just like ended up being destroyed, like how it was in the animated film, where like in this portion of the story, where Smaug ended up like being slayed eventually. So yeah, it's not like yeah, that didn't happen here. Like Smaug is still like he lives through this film, and so yeah, the remaining portion of the stuff with Smaug is then like carried over to the next film. So yeah, once again, like this film really does end like kind of like on a cliffhanger to just like lead into once again the third film. So yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, it does like a good job of doing that, and yeah, the story that this film tells, while it is kind of like there's a lot more of it included here than there was in the animated film. As I've said before, I don't know how much of this was focused on in the book, but yeah, this does contain like definitely like a whole lot more than what was in the animated film. But yeah, for what it has, it does tell this part of the story pretty good. So yeah, like I said, 3.5 stars out of 4. I mean, yeah, hard. Like I said, hard to say whether or not it is actually better than An Unexpected Journey, but yeah, still a pretty good follow up overall. Row, and yeah, just yeah, as I said before, while these films really do like really stretch out this story for the book, a relatively short book, they do like Peter Jackson does do like the best job that he can, and by trying to like do the same thing with these films as he did with Lord of the Rings. So yeah, it is like told well enough. So yeah, and so yeah, a pretty good film overall. Like I said, 3.5 stars out of 4. All right, so yeah, I guess that does it for my review of The Hobbit: The Desolation of Smaug. A pretty good follow up for An Unexpected Journey, and so yeah, and once again, like the story will then like carries over into the third and final film of this trilogy with the Battle of Five Armies. So yeah, that's what I'll be getting into next time as I finish off this trilogy and finish off these reviews for the month. So stay tuned next time for my review of the Battle of Five Armies to conclude these reviews for the month. And so yeah, but yeah, so anyway, I hope you guys did enjoy this review. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.